All right, yes, we are, yes, Janet, we're recording.
Thank you for that. So let me back up ever so slightly. Thank you all for being here. On our agenda tonight, I'm reserving a portion of the chair's report to talk about our internet website. If Gary is able to attend, looking for him to pop up on the screen there. And item number 4 on the agenda, the approval of the treasurer's report. We're going to defer until January, just to make sure everything is recorded. We have a question that we have open that we're dealing with at the moment. Nothing significant. It falls back to the receipts that were made at the Greenway State. So we have Mary's here. So, so we have a quorum this evening. Any other adjustments to this evening's agenda?
Nothing?
Hearing none. Did everybody have a chance to look at the meeting minutes for October and the adjustments to the council meeting minutes for October? Hearing none. Deferring item 4, the treasurer's report. Chair and vice chair reports. Mike, I will defer to you to start. If you have anything for the vice chair report.
Other than the Summit County, there's really nothing to report. Specifically from my perspective, there's, after last year's get all the timesheets in, I haven't seen anything for this year so far. So we should continue to have the discipline to, keep those coming on a monthly basis. But no, I'll wait for the grant update to say more.
Thank you, Mike. For me, following up on the timesheets, we did submit our Firewise application in October. We have not heard anything as to its approval for our renewal. We do not expect anything to preclude the renewal for our Firewise, but they've gotten all the applications for Northern California all at once. So I anticipate it'll be another couple of weeks before we hear back on our Firewise approval. On behalf of, and Ken can jump in here where he deems fit, on behalf of the El Dorado County Office of Wildfire Preparedness and Resilience. It's a long day.
Yes, it does.
We have a web page on the Lovingly Calder Water website that talks about insurance. And everybody has a concern about their insurance rates, whether they want to get insurance, things that they can do to help them get insurance, information about the care plan and wraparound plans. And the county has taken this to heart, and on the Office of Wildfire Preparedness website, there is an entire page dedicated to
I'm gonna grab it. Yeah.
to insurance, the initiatives that the county, not the county, the state insurance commissioner is putting forth to help address the lack of insurers in California. He has an initiative called the Insurance Sustainability. I think there's insurance on the site, I just have to fix that. Strategy. If you go down a little bit.
I gotta share the screen here in a second too.
Okay. That's why it's the insurance. It's the California Department of Insurance is an initiative. It's a sustainable insurance strategy, and it's the insurance commissioner's plan for bringing insurers back to California on helping residents get insurance. But it requires residents to do their fair share to get that insurance, whether it be the fair plan or other insurers. His plan is also to make sure that as insurers come back into California, that people on the fair plan have first right into regular insurance. The goal is to get folks off of the fair plan and back to regular insurers. That's part of his strategy. Information on initiatives by the Department of Insurance can be found on the OWAPA website at this insurance webpage. Being safer from wildfires is his other initiative, which is things that homeowners can do to protect their homes and become more fire safe, including things like vents and siding and roofing and the 0 to 5 zone around your home, which is the new goal, which is to have a fire-free zone around your home, meaning no flammable materials within 5 feet of the wall of your home. All of these things are identified by NFPA as things to make us more resilient and make us more fire safe. And there are a whole list of things on this webpage for folks to look at. Having said that, we understand that there are a lot of interest on behalf of residents in our county, residents across the state, to have more information on insurance, how to get insurance discounts, how to bundle things together. And so the county and the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, and I'm speaking for Ken here as the chair of the council, are looking at possibly in the late winter, early spring, having a workshop or a conference on insurance. And we're hoping to invite a panel of speakers that can give residents of our county, all of our fire safe councils, rather than each of us having individual insurance presentations, let's have some of the heavier hitters come in and talk to us about insurance and how to deal with getting insurance, how to deal with making sure that we get whatever discounts are eligible to us. And so that is something that the county and the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council are looking forward to putting on in the spring. So watch out for a presentation along those lines somewhere late winter, early spring. It will be also an in-person and via Zoom, because we understand that there's a lot of interest in this, and not everybody can get to where this meeting may be held. There's possibly the opportunity that we'll take questions in advance so that we can make sure that everybody's questions are addressed, or we can bundle like questions together. More to follow on that. It's really in its infancy planning stages at this point, but it is something that is on the table for in the spring. Anything else you want to add to that, Ken?
No, I think that covered it.
As you know, as we come into December, we usually take the month of December off, so there will be no meeting in December, and we will get back together again in January. If there's anything anybody needs, you're always welcome to email us at info@afsc.com, and we can get information out as needed. So beyond that, I think that's what I have to share with the group. An e-board meeting. The e-board meeting is as needed. So if there is an e-board meeting that is necessary, you will have one. At this point, we have nothing scheduled. Moving on to our informational items, Sheriff.
Nothing really from my end, just, we're in that winter time, so just be prepared for it, cold, winds,
And falling trees.
falling trees, unfortunately, it's just. I'm starting to carry a chainsaw in my patrol car with me now, so you don't know what's gonna happen with this weather, because unfortunately, we've had trees falling everywhere. So just, I would have to get it. But we're out and about, so always call 911, of course, and we'll get there as soon as we can, but just gotta be prepared as best you can.
It is that time, weather is upon us, and things are unpredictable. As we evidence, and we saw evidence of today. Thank you, good information. El Dorado County Fire Safe Council.
Just a couple of quick highlights. As we've talked about for our assistance programs, the Defensible Space for Seniors, the chipping program, and the hazardous tree removal. program are just accelerating. Year to date, there have been 244 jobs in the Defensible Space Program for seniors, which is over $250,000 worth of investment just since January 1st, which is significantly higher. I mean, this program started like at $5,000 or $10,000 from the Friends of Seniors and the veterans folks. So we're pumping every bit of money we can find into keeping it going and not having to shut it down. Chipping, same story, that between the CAL FIRE grant support and the Air Quality Management District grant, we've done 690 jobs in that program since January 1st. And then the hazardous tree program, which is new this year, funded by CAL FIRE grant. There are currently 140 jobs pending. They're grouping those. They've been identifying contractors. So we're just about to start actually cutting trees. And I believe the count was close to 500 trees as related to those 140 jobs. And so we're adding some additional, we're going out to bid again to see if we can get some additional contractors to be part of the pool. Because we're going to look at accelerating getting these trees out and done this year. So commensurate with that, the County Fire Safe Council has been working with the grants committee. We are moving forward with a grant request to CAL FIRE under the current grant program for fire prevention grants to bolster all three programs. CAL FIRE is very open now to funding defensible space for the at-risk community members, as well as these other two programs. And so we'll be trying to maximize that. And we're meeting with CAL FIRE to talk about it. They're actually encouraging it. So, fingers are crossed, thumbs up that we'll be successful this year. And then at the same time, the Camino Fire Safe Council is working with the El Dorado RCD to put together a grant proposal for more work on the Highway 50 corridor. Folks may have heard of the Fire Adapted 50 project, but it's a project that's been going on since the King Fire to truly try to mitigate where many of the fire starts occur along Highway 50 from Placerville to sort of Kybers. And so the RCD has been doing a ton of work in there over the last 10 years. The Camino Fire Safe Council put together a proposal that's they're plugging in that the RCD is going to apply for, but it will fill a gap of area that needs work along the Highway 50 corridor. They've engaged Caltrans and a number of other partners. So those will be the big projects that the Fire Safe Council is moving forward with for this grant cycle for the fire prevention grants. And then we have other things on the radar. We've applied for a Forest Service community wildfire defense grant, and we're looking at, I believe, $6.6 million proposal to the Forest Service to bolster our defensible space program for at-risk. There's a unique opportunity potentially with this particular grant from the Forest Service where it's targeted towards vulnerable communities, low-income populations, and we think we have an opportunity to identify low-income residents throughout the county. And so we put in a proposal for our defensible space program. So if we're successful, again, we'll be able to really bolster that defensible space program for seniors. So that's kind of been the focus of our grants program, is to try to bring money in to really support the key programs. As we've talked about before, we're at 31 fire safe councils now. The two most recent are Fort Jim and then Rescue Community. And so it's starting to fill in some gaps in some areas where there currently wasn't coverage. There's now a training committee associated with there. It's really kind of rebolstered something that used to be there. But the partnership on this training committee, it includes folks from outside the Fire Safe Council community as well as Fire Safe Council members. We have the Fire Prevention Officers Association. We have the County OWOPR Defensible Space Program coordinator, along with other Fire Safe Council folks. And the idea is to look at the course of the year, what kinds of trainings do we want to put on for ourselves, but then also for some of our partners. And so looking at another defensible space evaluator training coming up this spring. I didn't write the dates down that he provided today. There will be an email coming out, I think, to all of the Fire Safe Councils just to when those dates are coming up. But it's probably going to be limited to one class this year. In addition to that, though, there will be refresher classes for existing evaluators. There'll be a schedule coming out of what those refresher courses are, and then also targeting the insurance community and real estate community. Both of those industries have asked for awareness workshops on what defensible space is. So we'll also be helping them put on some of those workshops. And then just a couple of miscellaneous items. The Fire Safe Council hosted a Veterans Day breakfast on Saturday in Diamond Springs at the Firefighters Memorial Hall. Overwhelming success. Over 200 folks came. All of the food was donated by a variety of vendors, Starbucks, Save Mart. The Forest Service they brought a fire engine and put folks in the serving line. Diamond Springs Fire Department brought equipment and rose a flag. Very tastefully done, and it partnered with, what we've learned is that there's multiple different communities within the veterans community. And so really tried to reach out to the different sections within there and really try to have a good cross section of their people, of folks in that community. And it was, folks were lining up at 7:15 and it opened at 8. And then they got folks out of there by 10:30 to get over to the county memorial, where then folks were able to honor the veterans service. So I think it's going to be something that will happen in the future, ongoing. And it was really an opportunity to, one, it was born out of the veterans facility at the fairgrounds flooded last year. And so they haven't fully opened the facility. And so they had no place to host their breakfast this year. And two, we really wanted to recognize the veterans for the partnership we've had in the Defensible Space program for almost 10 years now. So yeah, very well received. Mary.
Could you explain the coordination that you have with the veterans in the Defensible Space program?
Yeah, so going back about 10 years, Ernie Laurie from the Grizzly Flats Fire Safe Council initiated a Defensible Space program. Originally, it was focused on trying to help some of the senior community, and these were very small. I think the original grant was $5,000 from the Friends of Seniors, and it was just to try to start assisting the senior community who couldn't afford to get defensible space work done. Over time, the Veterans Affairs Commission and other veterans groups had reached out and again, providing additional grants for these small mini grants of $5,000. Many of them coming through actually processed through the El Dorado Community Foundation. But every year, these small grants were coming, and we were treating 10, 20, maybe 30 landowners a year, homeowners, with this program. But it was really every year, it was this relationship with the veterans and the seniors to try to help that portion of the community. In the last 2 years, because this is the root of how we protect our home, defensible space is really the foundation to get it to protecting community. We've been receiving grants from PG&E. El Dorado County has provided Title III funding that passes through to the county from the federal government. And we have been reaching out we just received a grant from the California Fire Safe Council for $500,000. What's that? And SMUD has provided multiple small grants of $20,000 apiece. So all of this just keeps rolling up. And initially, the program would start and stop. Immediately, it would sell out and we'd have to shut it off. This year, Janet has moved every pot of money around to keep the program open without shutting it down. And we've just been staying ahead of the power curve. And we are going to go dark in all the programs for December for lots of reasons. One, we're trying to catch up to wait for the next tranche of funding to come from the Fire Safe Council at the state. But also the contractors are busy, so we're just going to hold off on new applications in December.
And our grants person is having a baby.
Yes, the person, our program, so the person who manages the program, Jessica. So it's like, she can't really do it all. We want her to do it from the hospital bed, but she won't. So yeah, it didn't work. But it's phenomenal. It's really, and again, I gave you the numbers. I mean, it started out as 20 jobs, and now 244 jobs for seniors and 690.
The program that the veterans started for us.
Yes, that Ernie Laurie did in partnership with the veterans and with the Friends of Seniors. So they do. I mean, we give their projects priority. We spend their $5,000 on veterans. We spend the $5,000 on seniors. And like I said, we're going after more money. This program is really going hand in hand with all of the other efforts that the fire districts and CAL FIRE and the other fire safe councils are doing to educate people on defensible space. And when we're doing assessments, we're talking about these programs. The books that we have that are in front of Kim there, it's got links to all 3 of the programs. So everyone's sharing that information with landowners when they talk to them. And again, it's really growing. And so it's given us an opportunity to really talk to the county about ongoing funding in the future and the importance which they get. And we've been talking to the boards of supervisor members. And I think this is really something that's going to continue and grow down the road. So again,
The veteran breakfast was really our way of.
yeah, sorry,
of
circle it back.
Circling back. to-
Land the plane, Ken.
uh, Thanking them for their service, for
Yeah.
everything that they've done for their country, and for what they've done for the Fire Safe Council.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Good event, and it sounds like there is interest in having the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council hosted in the future, so, there will be more talk about that, whether that occurs or whether it goes back to its other thing.
Yeah. And if it continues, I just know that there were 20 plus, over 25 volunteers from the different councils. So I suspect we're going to be continuing it, but assuming that we do, I think there's going to be a desire to reach out to all the councils to see if folks want to spend a few hours. There's a video, if you go to the El Dorado County Facebook page, Fire Safe Council Facebook page, there's a great video of folks. You can see a number of folks from the Fire Safe Council serving, and just a great day for those folks. So we're again ongoing Green Waste Days like ours being hosted in different Fire Safe Councils into the spring. We've been doing many this fall, all funded through the Title III funding source. And then going back to the wildfire preparedness workbook that is in front of Kim, those have been just extremely popular. They've really given them away like candy. In fact, I actually had trick-or-treaters at my house. I would have given that out instead of candy. But we're I know he's like this idiot. But
That's cruel and unusual punishments.
I know. We're gonna do another version of it in the spring because we printed 7,000 of these, or 12,000, excuse me. And we're down to like 4 or 5 boxes in the stores, which is good. They've gone out. That'll give us an opportunity to refresh them. We found things we want to update. As we've heard here, and I'm sure Chris can talk about it, the county, the EDSO, Office of Emergency Services, is working on a number of upgrades to the evacuation processes in the county. Something that's happened just since we had our presentation from the sheriff's office earlier this year. The county's going to a perimeter. You've heard of Zone Haven in other counties where they partition off evacuation zones, and that's all part of a notification system. Where the county's going to a system called perimeter. More will be coming out on that. But it's a huge step forward for how evacuations are going to occur. And we're definitely going to want to have a presentation on that early next year as that unfolds.
So I can make that happen. I can talk to Whitlaw.
Yeah, Jeff would be awesome.
Whenever it's the appropriate time, when you're ready for your outreach, we'd be happy to have you.
Sure, yeah, I know there's a lot of changes going on there right now. We now have fire chief.
Yep, Mike Lilienthal.
Yes, so he's there now too, so we're just gonna see
What happens with that dynamic is now we have someone that's a professional in fire, right? And is knowledgeable more so in fire, so we'll see what happens with all that stuff. So as I get more information, I'll reach out to them and try to have them go to the fire safety council meetings, so.
And they are working on it. So at the County Fire Safe Council this morning, Chris, Bear was there, turned Bear along with Mike Lilienthal. And just to expand on what Chris is saying, so El Dorado County budgeted money to contract with El Dorado Hills Fire Department to actually take a deputy chief from El Dorado Hills Fire and place him in the Emergency Operations Center at the Sheriff's Department as a full-time. That's his assignment. And if you've ever met Mike Lilienthal, he's just a top-notch guy, and he gets it. And I'm going to be meeting with him tomorrow morning at 7 because he wants ideas about how to engage in what we're all doing. And So it's exactly what Chris said, the sheriff's office, OES, is really wanting to lean forward and do a much better job of bridging the various public safety disciplines. I mean, we're all concerned, how you put cops and firefighters all together in the same room, but it's, it'll be a challenge, but we'll get through it. Yeah, there's a civilian.
The fire and the civilian, together all talking about how to reach out and how to do public outreach and from each of their perspectives. And I think that's super cool that everybody's recognized that these pieces all have to fit together, and the language has to be in a way that folks out here can understand it.
Yeah, and I think
What's your police jargon, firefighter jargon?
exactly, nobody knows.
What's that?
I think, I think there's a lot to see where things go, but I think what we are going to see is the leadership at OES is just great folks, and bringing in the fire component. I think you're going to see a lot more outreach to all of us, as Janet's saying, and a lot of discussion about how to talk more about evacuations. And there's just going to be a lot more focus on engaging with fire safe councils and the ability to do that, and to be able to have it from that fire lens, and not just from the evacuation piece, but how that fits into what we do. So more to come there, but it is dynamic, and like I said, pretty exciting times as that all sort of unfolds. But yeah, so all of that, getting back to the workbook, we're going to update the workbook and include all of this as this information comes out, as the county is evolving in its evacuation processes. I mean, for example, Perimeter will allow you to go into a website when real time when a fire is occurring, and evacuation routes and things will all be identified real time. Zones are identified. Yes. Zones are identified for evacuation, and versus just what we're working through now, and so it's going to move us really forward. Janet and I had an opportunity to meet the managers of Perimeter last month when we were down at a workshop I don't think we've talked about that. We were down at a workshop at the Reagan Library last month on fire preparedness. So again, the county's definitely reached out and engaging, the professionals in that arena. So a lot more to come there. Yes, the council will be dark like everyone in December, and then reconvene the third Wednesday. And as Janet said, I think a focus sometime early spring, late winter will be a webinar or a workshop rather on insurance, and try to bring folks to the table that have the right information, can answer questions, and engage us. So I think that's probably those are the highlights.
On behalf of OWAPR, could you talk about CWPP?
Oh yeah, so as we've talked about lots of times, and we're going to keep talking about it till it's done, but the county Office of Wildfire Preparedness is now taking over the responsibility for updating the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. And so currently it has been out to bid to hire the contractor. The bids are in, and the county is reviewing the prospective contractors. I think there'll be an interview process, and anticipate hopefully a contract being awarded for the consultant here in the next month or so. I think we'll see this process kicking off after the first of the year. It'll be a 12 to 18 month process. It'll be building on the original CWPPs, but as we've talked about, trying to fill in the gaps. But it's a much different look. It's online. It is a storyboard that's more visual, and it's dynamic in that, yes, there'll be a document that can be on the shelf, but more importantly, there will be, an update process. So we don't have to keep going back to the Board of Supervisors to update a full plan. We will have a very dynamic set of actions that cover all of us. And then those things there'll be metrics that will track what we're all doing, getting work done. And then as changes need to occur, we've had new fires, other things happen, we'll be able to update our plan as we go and make changes to match what's happened out on the landscape. And so all that will be real time and web-based, so that all of us can see it. And of course, for those that don't have internet access, there'll be other processes to make sure people have access to the information. So short version of it is there will be a very robust stakeholder bottom-up driven process here and that we're going to all need to engage in after the first of the year. And as this rolls out, we'll let folks know, but I think it'll probably kick off with whomever the awarded contractor is probably coming to the County Fire Safe Council meeting and introducing themselves. And then us sort of kicking off together what the process is going to be. So.
Any questions for Ken? Moving on, Omar, Charlotte?
The tanks are in, the pipes, the water tanks are in. And there was a concern about some sort of pipes, whether it would be underground or overground, and that was a little bit of a discussion. It's now resolved and they're ready to be built. So that part is that project is over, and we wanted to thank the West Slope, the fire department, and PBFA and all the fundraising from the Oma Ranch community for creating the funds for this project. So it's yeah.
So who is filling the tanks?
The fire department is filling the tanks. The homeowner will be topping it off as needed. So that's actually true for the one on Little Mountain Road. They have 4 tanks there. And so the fire department actually fills those also. Well, you know, at our house, we use the roof, the shop for rainwater.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes one rain. to
Yeah.
fill our waters. Other than that, we're meeting this Saturday. And so that's basically it, and we will be dark also in December. I did share that if Mount Auckham does create the workshop for insurance, you know, having insurance guests, would Oma Ranch be interested? They were very receptive. And I told them that that wasn't a free invitation just to come and sit. We would be participating, which means whatever you need, if you need help in setting up, if you need help with, if you do refreshments, whatever it is, just be clear with us what you would like to see, and then we will write down what we agree to do. And if you want more, you just say, you know what, that's a great start, and here you go.
No, I do appreciate that, Charlotte. It sounds like it's gonna be a little bigger event than just us, but we will need help with all of those things.
Absolutely. And with that note, I went to the Pioneer Fire Department meeting yesterday, and I did hear you say that it was going to be bigger, and they had a topic on the insurance. And so I did put my hand up and state that it was possible that you were going to seed this workshop, and would they be interested in participating or putting the word out that they would like to be invited. They were very, very receptive to that. So what was nice is there was representation from most of the fire safe councils in South County there. And PBFA is having, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but it does relate to this workshop. Jumping around, they were all receptive. So, and I shared also, it's not a free ride there also. So, I don't restrict my time.
We love you for that.
Okay. And so they were very, very, very happy. PBFA, the Dan and Lynette are not retiring. They're stepping back from board, and they will become a community support, and they'll still be active, but they needed to leave the board. So with that, there's new people coming up. One of their intentions, and they shared that last night, was to find a way to kind of connect all of us in South County so that we could support each other. And they brought up the need for, a communal calendar. So that we're not relying on Jane's, wonderful Mount Auburn newsletter. And and I told my fire safe council, Jane is not gonna be running around knocking at the door asking you for, you have anything you're doing this week? It's either you bring it to her, she publishes it. You don't bring it to her, she doesn't publish it. So we're taking that off Mount Auburn's plate. And it sounds like PVFA is hoping to do a community calendar. So if Jane, you would like to send in some information over to PVFA, as I'm asking all the other fire safe councils to do, so that they, basically PVFA creates funds for this community. Training for our firemen, training for our first responders. So with that, makes sense to contribute. So then I'm done, but I'm done. Thank you, Sheila, we really appreciate you. Sandridge, anything?
A few things. We've had pretty low participation in our monthly meetings.
You see, we're very successful.
So we're starting to try a few different things Elizabeth and I held a little pop-up at the beginning of Sandridge right at 49, just to stop cars and say
Oh.
hi. And it kind of worked. We even got a flat tire right in front of her.
Love it. It might have been the nails she put in the road to get us.
One way to get people stopped.
Not really what the president's, but it's pretty successful. I mean, yes, people drove on, but we had quite a few people to stop and at least give their little bag full of goodies.
Yeah.
The other thing that Elizabeth just sent out a note about trying to engage the community and sharing all that they're doing on their defensible space, home hardening and all that, and send us your before and after pictures, and you'll get randomly put into a thing for the dollar.
Oh.
So try to encourage people to get more involved.
Good idea.
Mm.
And then our $5,000 finally received, yay. So we've officially kicked off our street sign project. About a third of the signs need to be replaced. So that'll be fun. But first of all, we have to get buy-in from everybody, because you can't just go on somebody's property and say, here, have a new sign. I'm not gonna like that too much, so. But we're happy to.
They're so good,
That's fine. I'm sure there's gonna be a few people that say, no, we like our handmade sign. We're leaving handmade signs, not taking them down. I'm just gonna put one that can be seen by important. Yeah. That's it.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Super good stuff. Moving on to, you don't have anything, Charlotte, on Grizzly Flat, right? Sometimes you have Grizzly Flat.
I know, I just do a run-on sentence, I'm sorry.
The important thing with Grizzly Flats is that their post office is delivered now. And I think they said it was in the first week of December, they'll be able to use the post office.
Nice.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure this is December, so.
And so in case you guys online didn't hear, the Grizzly Flats post office has been delivered, obviously.
I think it's like in a kit.
It's going to be a modular affair.
Okay, in fact,
That's huge.
Unfinished business, Mike, South County Grant.
Actually, I'm gonna go back a little bit on you there, Janet, because there's something I thought of in kind of the vice chair reports. I copied you on a series of exchanges with the Outingdale Community Board post the Green Waste Day. And I was, how do I put this delicately? I was trying to delicately shame them into why did only 1 out of 15 people that participated in that day come from Outingdale, and it was this one young lady that came about 4 or 5 times. And I got a smattering of responses, but none of them, in my mind, were what I would call acceptable. It was a bunch of excuses. Oh, well, you know, we've done so much to. One of them was, oh, we've done so much of our green waste already, and blah blah blah. We burned everything, and I was like, that's interesting because the burn permits just started last week, or actually after we had the green waste day. So it was a really poor excuse. So at the end, Mike Davidson did say that he would corral the group and try to find out how we can better communicate, engage, and work with that community, because pretty much what I was saying is that was your last chance until the evaluations from the El Dorado council comes out next spring for you to kind of get a green waste day and get rid of a lot of waste. And 1 out of 15 is not exactly exemplary. So I'm going to keep on them. They asked to kind of give us an opportunity to coalesce their thoughts and ideas as to how we can better engage that community to have them be more fire safe. So that's the part of the vice chair report I probably should have said, but didn't. In
Thank you,
terms of the South, what's that?
Thank you for that.
Yeah, in terms of the South County, we did have a meeting today, and Mark didn't make it, Maya didn't make it, but Robert from Mason Gerard and Alex, who is the person now actively doing the flagging, did participate in the meeting. And they're moving forward, but everything is kind of delayed, month to 2 months. And for a variety of reasons, which none of which in my mind are good. Janet and Ken, I sent you a mail before this meeting on a situation where, you know, in terms of the shaded fuel break, actually one positive thing that happened is, in terms of progress from the South County project, RCD did put out an existing conditions report that's been revised from May of 2023 to today. And actually I was a bit surprised at how big this actually is. I thought it was about 152 linear miles of roadside maintenance. It turns out it's 226.81 miles and 1,259 acres of shaded fuel breaks that are going to be treated as part of this project over all the various, you know, fire safe councils. That's huge. So Mark and team did update, you know, the existing conditions report. I can share that with the team if you'd like to read all 16 pages, but it's pretty cogent, pretty up to date. However, during the meeting today, Robert from Mason Gerard showed a map of the shaded fuel breaks that have ROEs, you know, approved or submitted. And I personally worked on one right off Monaucum Road across from D'Agostini Pond. And it's something very memorable because the guy that I was speaking to, he said that this is the 6th generation of the family on this property. They acquired 80 acres as part of a Homestead Act in 1860 and bought another 50 in 19 something. And they've been operating as a family ever since. And they were having a family meeting the next day, and all 4, 5, whatever it was, family members signed the ROE, and I submitted it to Holly and the team, and yet it wasn't represented on the form today that Robert was showing. So of the 1,200 and something acres of shaded fuel break, we only have about 269 with what they call acceptable ROEs. Well, a good portion of that 130 acres of I think it's the Duran family, off Monocum Road isn't represented. They had it identified in the map. It was outlined in blue, but if it was shaded, that means the ROE was received. I know they received the ROE, and yet it's not represented in the form. So I know that this has happened a couple of times in the things that I've personally gotten with the Outingdale people or people along Mount Outcome or in South County. The same thing has happened with Lester Lebetkin, where he submitted things, where he knows that people have submitted their ROEs, and it's not being represented. I hate to be negative, but I think part of it is the fact that they're overwhelmed. We're on our third project manager in a year, and things are falling through the cracks. So I sent a message to Mark detailing this explicitly, and I copied you and Janet, Ken and Janet. Mark did recognize that there is an issue and he's going to look into it, but we're at 21% of the overall shaded fuel break for ROEs. Now, Robert said that there are some adjoining lands that they could do work in that wasn't planned, but they could do work. That brings us up to 40%. The target goal is about 70%. We're way under that. So to find that there are people that actually submitted their ROEs that aren't being tracked properly is a problem. So I'm essentially raising the red flag, saying there's an issue here, and we need some, action from RCD in response from RCD based on, the things that we're providing them that aren't being tracked. That being said, they are out doing, other than the existing conditions report being updated, they are out flagging a lot of the shaded fuel breaks and roadside maintenance. I asked why, I asked a very simple question. One thing I worked hard on is getting 100% participation in the Outingdale shaded fuel breaks. Yet they've not focused one iota of interest on that project yet. They're going to Oak Hill and Pleasant Valley and Diamond Springs. When I asked today, why is that when they only have about 20–30% participation and I have 100% participation in Outingdale? No good answer. So I think it's time for a come to Jesus meeting with Mark to kind of get this thing back on track, because they're 2 months late on getting contractors engaged. They're months late on getting the shovels in the ground, and the weather is perfect for doing this. I'm just not confident in the way this is being managed to date. Just put it that way.
So how is Lester dealing with it as kind of the project lead from the Fire Safe Council perspective? What's his?
Lester administratively is doing what he can. I think his style is less confrontational than me. So, I call out stupidity when I see it. And, again, I know they're managing a lot of things. They're probably more than overwhelmed, but we have 3 years. We're late. We need to acknowledge we're late and take, corrective action. And I don't know how much of this Ken, but I mean, with Stephen Grayson going away 3 or 4 months ago, Robert leaving very few footprints in the sand. There's not a whole lot of communication, either at our twice monthly meetings or when I talk to Maya at the chamber meeting for agriculture on the 3rd Wednesday of every month. It's not moving the way I would like to see it. So sorry to be negative, but that's where it is.
So they are starting, I saw you note that they are starting to flag things.
Yes, they are starting to flag things. But, a month ago, they were supposed to be engaging contractors to do the RFPs. That hasn't happened yet either. So we've wasted yet another month. And now is the perfect time to actually get those contractors engaged and start doing the work because of the weather conditions and so forth. I don't know what's preoccupying their time, but they're just not moving. So I hate to be the bearer of kind of not great news. Some things are working, not enough of things are working. So I'm raising the red flag.
So I have an opportunity, later this week, to see Mark. Maybe I'll just catch him off on the side and have a conversation and see what information he can provide, and maybe I can get some feedback. I don't know how to make him or his organization moving faster, but at least I can let him know that we are concerned as an organization here. And on behalf of our sister fire safe councils, we have concerns about grant timelines and such, and
Yep.
and at least
No.
let him know that we are watching, we are paying attention, and we are concerned, and see what response I get.
It's really one simple thing, Janet. Ask him. Mike worked really hard. I'm not asking for, accolades. Mike worked really hard to get all 12 of the shaded fuel break properties with their ROEs submitted. And that's been submitted for 4 or 5 months now. Ask him why they're focused on shaded fuel breaks in Oak Hill, Pleasant Valley, and Diamond Springs, which have maybe 20, 30% ROE participation versus a community that has 100%.
Yep.
They could be
Yep.
working on that right now, but they're not. I don't understand that one bit. And I've asked in the last 3 or 4 meetings and I get bullshit responses.
Okay.
So,
I will ask that question specifically, along with the general concern that we have. Shyla?
If I could ask this one question, if it is true that that's happening in Mount Auburn, it is possible that it's happening in other
Yeah.
fire safe councils. And so that we don't lose more time, would it be, here's my request. Could we see a map with a date on it stating this is what they understand is the right of entry forms that have been filled, have been sent to them? And then given to each fire safe council, our fire safe council and any other fire safe council that requests this could then take a look at it. And if they know that there are more people that signed up, but it's not reflected, then we could then mark that so that it would be something that could be resolved a lot easier, not down the road, but we would have the immediate comparison. And
Well, I
then
think each of your fire safe councils has a representative into the meeting group, so they have that list.
they have
Yeah,
the most
knowing-
current list, so maybe
Can
that's
I-
what we should do is.
yeah, can I make a comment? Shyla, can I make a comment, Shyla? I think you're right on the right path. I've been asking of that for 3 months now. And I think what happens is the RCD we submit everything and people submit their ROEs back to the RCD and they collect these spreadsheets and they send it out to us. I will personally send you, Shyla, the one that came out on October 4th, I think, of this year. I personally went through it for over an hour today to look through, because I was trying to find the property off Mount Elcom that's huge, that's due for a shaded fuel break. And I found out some interesting things. There's a lot of duplication of entries, same name, same property. But surprisingly, Ed Matwich, who's off Mount Elcom, who's part of the roadside maintenance, has not returned his ROE. So I think what happens is the RCD is putting these things out and people aren't going through them line by line like I did today. When I was trying to find somebody that I knew had submitted one and couldn't find it. But, so I will send that to you, Shyla. Be my guest to use it to work with OMO, whomever, to kind of look it through and see how can people get more engaged. For the last 3 or 4 months, it's been like, well, once we start, people will see the work and then they'll want to participate. Well, when we're only at 20% and 21% and with some of the quote unquote adjoining work that could be done that wasn't planned, bringing us up to 40, we're still well below 70%, which is what they're targeting to go forward, and then make trade-offs from there. So I will personally send you that the ROE thing from October 4th. And if you have any questions, let me know. No problem.
Right, and if you could send it before Saturday, that would even be better. So if you could send it tomorrow, I would love it.
John, she said if you could send it tomorrow, her meeting is on Saturday.
I'll send it right now. I'm online.
Perfect. Boom.
S-A-I-E.
Yeah,
That E-I.
IELA. All right, thank you, Mike, for that update, and I will follow up with, Mark, and, you keep pushing from your end, and I'll poke from mine.
All right, thank you. Sorry to be so negative, but
Nope,
I think
understood,
it's-
it's kind of frustrating when you've been hearing that things were gonna start, and you're not seeing it happen.
no.
Thank you. Moving from one not so good topic to another, we held our Green Waste Day, the 28th of October. John was kind enough to put signs at both ends of our council area, particularly one in front of the entrance to Outingdale. And we had 15 takers, for the day. One person came back several times. I give her credit. She filled her car up several times and brought it back, but we had 2 green waste, dumpsters, and we probably filled between a quarter and a third of one.
Oh,
So
Oh, wow.
it was far less attended than the one last year that we held in November in the rain. That was bad. And that was bad. So, was very disappointed, in the participation. I think maybe it's the time of year, maybe the fall ones don't do as well as the spring ones do after the winter storms and such. But I don't know at this point, if I were to recommend to the council, I don't know that a fall event it gets us anywhere. We did sell 6 address signs. Thank you, John. Every address sign has one less that we need to reach out to, so I'm super grateful to John for being there and providing them on the spot. We did make a couple of bucks in donations, but it was I'm gonna say 4, 5, 6 of us all day long for 15 people. Plus we are had Hargos there that we're going to offset some of their costs for 15 people. So it was not a greatly attended event, and I don't know that I would recommend doing another one in the fall. Any other?
Here's a question, would you recommend doing one in the spring?
Yeah, I think we had super success with the first spring one we had last year. We overfilled our 2 dumpsters. We had to pay weight fees. And I'm all for that. If we can overfill them, and I think that's great. I'm happy to do that, but and I will say that Waste Disposal's working with us. We're only gonna have to pay for one of the dumpsters. They're gonna offset the cost of the second one, which I thought was really generous of them to do. But it's disappointing that we couldn't have had more participation from our community. And I don't know, from an outreach, last time we spent over $1,000 in mailers to get people there and only filled that dumpster up a half full. This time we didn't do mailers and did all social media and signs, and we only got a quarter of a dumpster. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but neither one of them were well attended. Mary?
Do we want to do a different kind of an activity in the fall?
That may be a better option. We have to figure out what that
Maybe,
is.
yeah, maybe something like more of a home hardening kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think a dumpster event is money well spent.
Yeah.
If I can add to that, that when we approach vehicles about hardening and evaluation, not much interest in that at all.
Okay.
So we got no sign-ups for evaluation. So,
Yes.
Always the people that already have good space. that get plentiful space.
That actually doesn't bring stuff.
I know, and then you're like, okay, now how about I nitpick now? But no, what I was gonna say, so we're gonna do R2 also with the money that's gonna be provided, but we thought this spring would be better. My personal opinion is I don't have enough gathered yet. Just a thought.
We held the fall one, because we have a community, a one way in, one way out community that we've been discussing. That is scheduled to have D-space inspections, not just evaluations, but the actual inspections coming next March. And so we were trying to provide an opportunity for folks who are interested to get rid of stuff that they may have to get rid of. And we had 2 members of that community participate, and it is super disappointing. We had put it out to their community. Mike and I both attended their community meeting. We put it out in their newsletter. We had a sign out at the beginning of their road, and we didn't have any participation. So we're here to help our community get where they need to get. We've been telling them that there's inspections coming next year. And we were unsuccessful in reaching them. And that's part of what Mike was talking about with his outreach. We need to figure out how to get to all of our communities. And part of the hard part is we are so spread out. We're not really a tight knit close where we can have neighbor to neighbor discussions or what have you. And folks, it's hard to reach. And we don't have a lot of money in our coffers to put out mailers. It was $1,300 for us last spring or last fall to put out mailers to everybody advertising our Greenway space.
Time to get involved in properties.
Yeah.
Janet, I don't know if Cindy Bader, the past president before Mike Davidson of Ardingdale, if she copied you on this email, but when I sent my entreaty to understand what happened, why didn't people participate, she actually said, I never heard about it at all.
And we sent it to,
Which is crazy, because we send emails. Mariella Clem we put it on our website. Mariella Clem and Jane put it in our newsletter, and I was really aghast. Like, how the hell did we get to these people?
And I sent it to Mary Ellen, who was part of their community, one of the people that we actually met with in September. I sent it to her because she has a mailer that she puts out to their community. I gave it to her a week in advance to put out to the community. So it was in their community letter. It was in all their email boxes.
Somehow it missed people, but again, they're supposed to go back and find out how we can kind of approach them better as a community, because they're, they are unique, but we'll see where it goes.
Any other comments, thoughts about this event?
And our principal.
Yeah. I think we all vented our frustration that day.
Sorry about that.
And that is, basically the only people you're gonna shame about, lack of participation is going to hit home to the few people that are participating.
Yeah.
Number 2, another thing to look at is, what is it that causes Outingdale to not move a lot of their green waste out? Well, I ended up giving a lady who had a flat tire and brought her into Outingdale, and I was amazed at how narrow everything is. So you're not gonna have a bunch of people that have dump trucks. You're not gonna have a lot of people that have these big rig kinds of things. And it might just be, and I am a true believer in, you don't give anything away free because it's never valued. That's shown up in so many nonprofits. But if there is a way of matching something, then people have to work to, it's a learning curve. they work towards something and then they feel successful, then they can work towards a little bit more and feel successful, and then a little bit more. But shaming them is not gonna get them to move an inch. No, that's number two. But so I'm stuck on what would it take for part of your grant to also be about if people signed up that they wanted a dump trailer brought to their house, and they could sign up for specific times for them to get to be put in and then taken over to the dumpster or the chipper. That might be a little bit more successful, but something that they would have to guarantee that they would be participating in it. Then you wouldn't be putting money out for, you know, 2 dumpsters and not fill it.
Well, and I think that's where we were hoping when we met with their community, because they have a community group that they raise dues for and supports that community, it supports. the
Then
road work.
turn that around and ask that community group, tell us what your needs are and tell us the best path.
And I think that's what we're trying to get to.
Actually, Shiloh, when Jan and I were there in September, I floated that idea, knowing that a lot of the people in that community are elderly and don't have trucks and the roads are terrible. What if we rented some trailers and actually did something like what you just suggested? It went nowhere. Now, we never really finished it out and kind of got to the point of, here, sign up here, it's gonna cost you $50, we're gonna come in, you help us load, we'll take it away. We never did that because we're not heavily funded to do something like that, but it was kind of like, if they could meet us
Would you do a
halfway,
matching fund, something?
yeah, if they could meet us halfway, we'd do it. We did float that. And I think that should still be something on the table. It's creative and it helps. What I was surprised with, one of the excuses they came back was, well, a lot of people have already left, because the summer's over. And I thought, that's odd, because I thought second and third generations moving back in, and the dynamics were that there's more of a year-round complement to Outingdale instead of just an itinerant summer community. So something's not adding it up, and I think they as a community have to come back to us if they want our continued support to kind of help us understand how we can work better with them. Pure and simple.
Well, I think our opportunity is gonna be in the spring.
Your opportunity is gonna be in March when they get slapped with a couple of bingo, yes, and then they can say, you know what? You're welcome to come to our meetings and we will be happy to help you with this.
And we'll be having another Green Waste Day in the spring. It's probably not gonna be at this end of the community. It'll probably be at the other end of the community, but we'll take your way.
Here you go.
And I think that's where it's gonna come down to, is they're gonna get, their attention will be brought up when.
And when it is, you open up your arms and you bring them in,
Yeah.
so it's not.
And so that, I actually had that later in the agenda, but the meeting with that community about the defensible space inspections will occur here on March 5th. Where the county and the Pioneer Fire will be here to talk with whomever from their community attends. They will get notices that meeting is occurring, so that they're not surprised when folks show up, and they shouldn't be, because we've been talking to, they shouldn't be, we've been talking to them, but how far out that message has gotten, I don't know. But yes, in the spring, when we hold the Green Waste Day, we'll be happy to take as much as they want to bring out. And if they can partner with their community association that they pay dues into, maybe they can help bring something that takes material out. So, I think we've, thank you, Mike, on that, and I think we've beat that horse to death. Moving on to the wine signage project, so Kim and Charlotte.
And here in my back of my head, I was going, okay, now you need to be a little bit shy. The wine signage is, we started it and it's moving along. Each fire safe council has special circumstances. And so some have started sooner than others. But the beauty of right now is this is a pilot. This is a pilot. And so there, with an expectation that we're gonna learn an awful lot in the few months that we're doing it. And then from there, we will review what the structure looks like. And from there, we will then put guidelines down. So we're doing well.
Okay, when, so the pilot ends when?
End of this year, which is, we're realizing we all got off to a late start because we couldn't figure out QR codes and that kind of stuff. So it was like, I'm sorry, you know.
I guess.
It's a different realm. But here, so I'm gonna make a point by going backwards. PVFA just had a fall social that they said, oh, well, we got 80 people. In reality, there were 80 people there. 60 of them were working and volunteering their time. 20 showed up. But out of that 20, there was a group of people that actually signed up to volunteer. And you're never gonna know when you're gonna find that diamond in the rough. So there was one person who came in with I'm from a family of 10, so I got to see the ducks in a row. And they came in with 7, and come to find out, it's a dad who has degrees in computer, whatever, and has chosen to back down to a slower lifestyle. So still does computer stuff, but he's requested to be engaged. And he's been to he's going to our fire safe council meeting. He's come out awesome. He just likes my husband's toolbox. Whatever it is, we're talking with him about the communal need to upgrade computer stuff, the communal need for us to solidify, not become one, but to help each other. And so he's very receptive. So hopefully we can get him to one of these meetings. And when he does, he brings 3 or 4 of his kids, and they're very well behaved. They know how to publicly be present, you know. So why am I saying that? Is because we're all low. We're all low, but if we can continue to work together, like the wine signage, and not sit back and ask one council or another council, why are you starting so? Nuh-uh, we're not doing that. This is called, everyone has a life, and each one of us are individuals with our own set of circumstances, and we've stepped up to do something. And with that, we're celebrating.
Thank you,
So,
Charlotte.
okay.
Kim?
She said it all.
But you've done your things, gone to the winery, you put your
Yeah.
stuff
It's
in.
a little rough. It's a little rough. But you know, that's what it is. Fundraising's rough sometimes.
Thank you for that, both of you. I really appreciate your efforts. Charlotte, thank you for spearheading all of that. We appreciate you.
She's a go-getter.
I'm a go-getter that has no computer skills.
New business, we are coming into a new year. We have, completed our 23 Firewise submittal, wherein we talked about the efforts that we made on our Firewise work plan. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ken to talk about the 23 work plan and what our work plan, 3-year work plan said for 24.
Well, obviously it's late in the evening to dive into a bunch of detail may just put us over the edge, but as Janet has mentioned, so we're required to have a 3-year work plan as part of the Firewise certification. And so last year, Janet and I went through and took our work plan that we had and we put it into the new CAL FIRE format that California requires above and beyond what the other states do. And so we did that, and we plugged in there things that we knew we were doing or going to be doing. over the next 3 years, but it was just that. It was sort of our, estimation for where we thought what we were going to do. So as we're getting into this is an action plan that sits for Firewise and it meets their intent. But as we were talking, it doesn't have to just sit on a shelf and be the action plan to get us our insurance discount. Why don't we spend some time looking at the action plan and actually using what we've put together to maybe guide what we want to do in 2024? I'm going to try to move this to a different place. Okay. So, I mean, just for example, 2024, there's a requirement for education and outreach. And so we talked about, we're continuing to work with the fire district, CAL FIRE, and the sheriff's office on disseminating standardized address marking and water storage signs throughout the county. And so obviously John's been our mainstay there with the signage for the addressing, but we haven't really pushed a lot of the signage with the water storage with Pioneer Fire. So there's a thought. Our regularly scheduled meetings that we have here is one. Continue to partner with the school district on fire prevention, outreach, and education efforts, including the poster contest that we've been involved in before. And then partner with neighbor fire safe councils on the joint newsletter. And then, of course, review and update the Occoquan Fairplay Fire Safe Council website and Facebook. And just food for thought. My recommendation is we rethink our Facebook internal group account and make an external account to try to draw more people rather than just our internal group. But anyway, those are things we had identified that we've been doing or suggested doing in education and outreach. Home hardening, we're ongoing defensible space and home hardening evaluations. Present homeowner or home hardening information provided by the El Dorado County Fire Safe Councils and others through workshops and events. So again, some home hardening outreach, fuels reduction, one community green waste collection event. We've already had, we've already had one this year, but going into next year, we know we've got one planned for the spring. Participate in grant-funded South County fuel reduction project. Mike's been keeping us well grounded on that effort, and we know that's going to be a lot of work and part of what we're doing. Evacuation planning and wildfire preparedness. I think this is really teed up with with Chris here and what he's been helping with and what the OES office with the sheriff's department is doing. We've already had this presentation in the past, but a presentation from the South County Large Animal Rescue Group regarding evacuation and care of pets. Well, we had the presentation from the radio group on their involvement in this piece, and so maybe there's another opportunity to bring back the actual South County Large Animal Rescue Group for a presentation. So those were the things that Janet and I had put down, just knowing that we were working on many of these things as we've been working and participating in at least one grant-funded South County fuel reduction project. So in addition to, well, no, that is the grant, but we've also talked about, that's not necessarily here. We've done the work at Pioneer School in the past. There are other opportunities that fit into here to maybe pick up a project. So I put all that out there. Just those are the things we had talked about just for Firewise, and are those things we want to use that as a guidepost for planning events for the year? We've already got this document and we can build off of it. It's not reinventing any wheels. And then when we complete these, we turn right around and plug them into the Firewise renewal application as part of that process. So these are all things that accomplish that goal. So anyway, Janet, I just put that out there as a sort of a guidepost for what we talked about.
So those were the things that we had thought of. And the things that we kind of on the natural have been doing. But as a group, is there anything we're missing here that we should be doing? What we have been lightly talking about, for lack of a better word, just can't think of a better word right at the moment, is we need to hold a community event. A fundraising community event where we can put out information, whether it be a hot dog social or an ice cream social. And I think it would be good if we partnered with our partner Fire Safe Councils and had a broader event, maybe here at Pioneer Park, where we all get together and do hot dogs and ice cream. We all talk about our own Fire Safe Councils. Chris, if we can get the sheriff's office out here, if we can get PE or the primary fire out here. And try and get the community to come out, and maybe we can encourage participation in our fire safe councils that way. I think that I would like to see us do something like that. And usually the first week of May is a good time to do that because it's Fire Awareness Week. Usually the weather's good. But it takes more than me just thinking about it and saying it's a great idea. We need good participation to make that happen. And I'm happy to talk to the other chairs of fire safe councils and see if there's interest, but I have to have interest from this board as well. So I open that for discussion.
When I first met you, you were here at Pioneer Park, and there was some kind of music thing going on, dance kind of there. Oh, yeah, that was very nice for PBFA. There's all kinds of people there, but that's what you need to like get in there, stuff like that. There's all kinds of people.
Well,
there.
actually, it was open to the fire safe councils, and there were a couple of fire safe councils that presented.
Yes, here we go.
There was one where they had Reach, the helicopter was here. But we didn't get a lot of participation from the community either. I don't know how to bring the community out to this.
So, the fire district is having the same conversation. And, they said, well, whatever happened to music in the park, whatever happened to fire and whatever it was. And, Director Rossi shared that, and I guess he has a winery. He said, I'm going to host that winery, that event at my winery. And I put my hand up and I said, so are you hosting for just the fire department? He said, no, I would love to have all the fire safe council member, what are you? A council, each South County council at that event participating. So that is another avenue. I don't mean as in place of this. I think this is a good place for the council to meet, but it's an additional one. So that calendar that they're gonna be putting out, if we review that, we could look at where are they asking us to participate? Or where would we like to put some effort so that we don't always have to create it, but we're there with our advertisement. That might help too. So I'm not trying to detract from the social.
You probably have a winery host an event like that here. And of course, they can bring music with them,
Oh,
right?
Mhm.
Mary?
I think alcohol is an issue, but I don't know that for sure.
So,
But the school might have something going on in the spring. And that you might be able to coordinate. I mean, that would be worth looking into.
things are not going up the whole point.
It's not an issue. You just get a license. Our hot dog social.
Okay.
sold beer.
We can get a temporary.
Temporary.
license.
Sandy?
Alcohol always brings-
Sandy, you're muted, or we can't hear you.
She's muted.
I know that expression.
I can talk all I want. I've heard that I think Pioneer, no, not Diamond Springs Fire Safe Council and areas like that have done some hot dog socials. Would it be possible to think about something, whether we did a community social down for this area and then had something like tug of war events or trivia contests and things like that had to do, we could center them around fire safe type things, trivia contests that said, what about distances from the home for cleared space, that type of thing. And involve some fire fire safe things among the community activities. That could help get children there, get adults there, get some interaction there. And just kind of make it a fun, let's rub shoulders type thing.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm all for the hot dog social. I think that's, they seem to be super successful, and they don't, cost folks a lot of money, you know, to come get a hot dog. And, we're just looking to recoup our costs, plus, you know, maybe get a little bit of donation out of it. But we primarily want to educate our community, so, I think that's,
And collect volunteers.
and collect volunteers and
Yeah.
collect people to come to our meetings.
Yeah, I nominate Sandy to be the coach of the tug of war committee myself.
Right? It'll be over a big fire pit in the middle, so you can.
Those alligators are gonna be expensive to put in a pond, but whatever.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, the hot dog social, but also the music in the park.
I like that too.
I think the music in the park is just very uplifting, gives it that
Exactly.
festive feeling. And it's not so focused on you're going to school, okay?
Right.
You can come, I mean, going to school, learn about fire safety. It's a fun thing. And oh, by the way, you know, you can
They
learn
stroll
about this
around
and
go
learn
where they
about
wanna go,
that.
yeah.
So, the music brings a lot of people, and maybe it's something where you have, different groups come. Such and such group plays from, you know, 9 to noon, and another group plays, you know, later on in the day, and so
Yeah.
depending on what type of music you like, you may bring the family out for, you know, whatever, so
Get,
the
get,
music part, I think,
know,
is a big thing.
not only hot dogs, but you could add in ice cream. Frankly, Jane, what you were just describing is very similar to what Alice and Lester set up for the county fair. There were a lot of games for kids to engage them, but while the kids were engaged in the games, we talked to all the parents.
Mhm.
And we get a lot of feedback from the parents, we get a lot of support from the parents, so it's kind of like, look at the shiny object over here, meanwhile, we're training you on fire safety. So it worked very
And
well.
also, you know, I'm a very audio visual type person. You know, I would think that if you could build a little model of a house and what defensible space looks like with little mini trees and so forth.
That exists already.
Oh, it
and it's
does?
available to us whenever we need it.
Oh, that would be fantastic, because then you can point and say, this is what it actually
Yeah,
looks
and-
like, instead of seeing it in a book.
Yeah,
always, or
actually, that was one
online.
of the models, that was one of the models at the fairgrounds thing. And kids as young as 4 or 5 and 10 or 12 went right up to it with a little bit of help. You know, they're easily able to kind of associate. It was like a magnetic thing, you know, where do you put the magnets in terms of where the fire safety is. It was all ages. It was easily done. And like Janet said, it already exists.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's material that the El Dorado County Fire Safety Council has for public outreach that we can borrow, we can check out at any time.
Nice.
So, Travis.
So I think this is a great idea. Do you want to spend your effort creating this or finding out what's already started in your community? And look at how do you fit into that by still having the goal of representing fire safe councils and the educational component and the games. So I know that, I'm gonna go back to the calendar again, which is their, PVFA is starting to plug in the fishing derby and they're trying to bring things back. What they shared was they've spent the last 2 years trying to support West Slope, and now West Slope is no longer affiliated. They're not, they were under the umbrella of PVFA for the 501c3. They're now their own 501c3. And so they
they're no longer on the board of PVFA, they're no longer on, they're doing their meetings, their workshops at PVFA. But they're not meeting there anymore. So if that calendar comes out and it should be distributed, that's something that, I know that Omo Ranch is looking at, how do we best promote our council and promote the organizations that are set up to fundraise. We're not set up to fundraise. I don't want to exhaust the little bit of energy that our council has. We'd rather be working on a water project than a big event. Because we did a hot dog social and it was very successful, but it was a lot of energy. You know,
I can vouch for that. We did the same. It was very time consuming to set it up. Don,
Shelley, do you know, when PVFA may make that calendar accessible?
that's what they're voting in their new board, and that's what they're doing. So
first of the year,
So,
I will
or
find out.
under discussion?
it's still, that's something that they are proposing to do, and that was on their top of their list.
Okay.
And Jerry Jumper is coming to the showcase Christmas thing. He is one of the board people. He knows that you do the newsletter. He probably will connect up. Probably don't want to talk about that day, but what they're trying to do and what we're all trying to do is have a better sense of connection so that we don't have to spend so much energy. Because we all look like this. I mean,
well, that's why I think whatever we do, we have a partner.
there you
We
go.
can't do it.
There you, good for you. Yeah.
The second half of that, which was item B, and I don't want to leave this topic. We're going to come back to this topic. I mean, this is going to be something that we need
Are you
to,
looking for help yet?
not yet, but. Are you volunteering? Absolutely, excellent. And John will make signs anywhere.
If
John will make signs anywhere.
Well, I want to talk about the water.
Yeah.
Let me jump to this one because I think it relates to the work plan. We have a number of trained folks to do defensible space evaluations. And we're not getting a lot of feedback from our community on that. So I think we need to do something on behalf of the council to increase our outreach to our community to try and increase the number of defensible space evaluations that we're doing to help our community become more fire safe and to meet our commitment to Firewise that we're actually doing things to make our community more fire safe. I mean, that's our commitment to Firewise is to be Firewise, you are improving your community. And so if our community won't come to us, we need to get to our community. And so that's one of the things I think we need to do is develop kind of a outreach work plan. Mary,
Have we tried sending things out through the school district?
we have given the school district during fire,
Fire prevention, that was like last year.
yeah, we gave them
I did that,
a flyer, yeah.
but I was wondering, I mean, we could send out a flyer about, and they were very cooperative, so it seems like we could send out a flyer about the defensible space. That wouldn't require very much.
Mike, do you have any thoughts on how we can help our community on this topic?
Got the newsletter, got the website.
I think we need to develop a plan
Yeah.
on how we can get out to our community and I mean, we have trained people waiting for it. It comes kind of full circle to our conversation at the beginning.
We're pretty much targeting the older people, the retirees, the fixed income and the
No, I think
veterans.
from this perspective, we're talking anybody.
Anyway,
Everybody is eligible. If they want to have work done, there are programs that will help seniors, veterans, disabled, and, but the evaluations that we're trying to do are available to anybody.
Well, there's, in this community, there's, you know, it's limited. You've got social media, which is a certain group of people. And that has to be I mean, you just have to keep really getting it out there, like every day, every couple of days. You can't just send it out once a month and say you've met people. You have to be consistent
And make
and
it fresh.
repetitive and keep it fresh. So you've got social media, and that's, you know, within that group of people. And then you've got the school, you could send out a flyer. And then you've got the Mountain Democrat, you can write a letter or put out an article. And you can put flyers up on the bulletin boards. And that's about it.
when you go to meetings, like Showcase Ranches has a meeting, you know,
Yeah.
quarterly.
Yeah,
You go to their meeting, you get. You're lucky to get one person in Showcase Ranches. In the chairs.
well, that's,
Okay,
yeah.
you go to a meeting like an Outingdale, say you go to an Outingdale council meeting or the city meeting. I don't know how many, but you'll be lucky to get two people to sit in their meeting. I mean, it's hard to get
So you have to go,
people to show up.
right, you
to
have to go beyond meetings. Most people don't go to meetings.
Yeah,
So we have contact for some of these organizations where we can put into their newsletter.
Mhm.
And I think we should be reaching out to these, like Outingdale has some sort of a public outreach program for their community. Obviously Showcase Ranches, whomever has, I know that we have it in River Pines Estates. We have someone who sends out material. And I think we need to hit these up
right.
on a regular basis, every month, every other month, but with something, we have to come up with something fresh every month. Or every other month, whatever the picture or whatever we're saying has to be fresh, or else it becomes white noise.
Mhm. So you would have two events at this point. You would have your green waste in April,
In the spring sometime.
sometime in the spring. And then maybe maybe coordinating an ice cream social, or coordinating, as Shyla said, some other event that's going on in the spring. So you would have those two events. That's probably
And
plenty.
then you got right now, you had a real heavy presence of CAL FIRE going through the neighborhoods, doing evaluations already. So I know the Showcase Ranches got hit real hard just last month with CAL FIRE. I mean, my whole street got evaluated. And I know that they were going up and down streets, they're standing at the gates, evaluating houses that they couldn't get in, and evaluating residents. So I know that CAL FIRE was out actively doing evaluating.
That may reduce some of our success,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
there's still a lot of communities that,
Hmm.
like Sandy's community and
Yeah.
the Dean Road community, the Outing.
Well, they're doing it, Showcase Ranches, they're doing it everywhere. So,
December 9th, I know, that Shiloh did not. December 9th, PFA is having their free communicate correctly and good Santa. It's a huge draw. Many families come. They have a donation bucket thing there, but, that you could have information set up.
On signs.
On signs, on all of those things, absolutely, absolutely.
Get it near the-
So, that's an example of how the Fire Safe Council can support PVFA, but also have an outreach and education component to it. So that's basically what we need to start thinking about is how do we get a bigger bang for our buck with less effort, but with more contact? And that I've banged the horse long enough, so we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary.
I was gonna say before COVID, and back when John was chair, I went ahead and made up a calendar and worked with PVFA to find out what all the different events were. And the intention was to go out and coordinate and be present at their events, because they had the Easter egg hunts, and I mean, there were several different things they did, and we were just gonna bring a table with the display that we had, and now we have a few other things too. But then COVID hit, and then it all just kind of fell apart. But so maybe it's
But I
time
think
to,
that's what we need to get back
that's what we need to get back to, is find out what those dates are and see if we can coordinate with them and be present at those events, and maybe do some fundraising at the same time, or expand on their event if they want to.
It's their thing.
It's their thing, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
All of this. We need to kind of hold our own fundraiser, right? I wouldn't want to fundraise over somebody else's.
Oh, no. I was-
We'll see. So any other thoughts on the work plan, things we need to consider adding to the work plan, as events this year beyond what we've already talked about? I will be reaching out to folks, soliciting volunteers for various things, that we have on our work plan, and if we're going to participate in some of these other events, attending some of these events on behalf of the council. And then Mike, think about, communities where we can increase our outreach. This one, on, maybe getting a list of those, communities that have newsletters, and considering, some outreach efforts to those communities to advertise our, even if we don't get any, at least we need to let folks know that it's there. Cal Fire, if they're doing their thing this year, they won't be here next year, they'll need to come back.
Okay,
Mike, I
Yep.
was talking to Mike Cook.
okay.
Sorry, I was talking to Mike Cook. Too many Mikes in this organization. I got 3 of them, too many Mikes. Any other comments on this topic? It's something we will come back to in the first of the year. Yes, ma'am.
I'm meeting with PVFA, prior to December 9th. We're helping set up decorations and stuff. If I talk to them, would you like a formal invitation to come and put up flyers or to advertise?
Or just let me know and we'll figure it out.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it to them. But would you like me to do that so that they contact you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm.
You're out.
I'm out.
Peace out.
Setting tables. That's it.
You need anything more to do, do you?
We appreciate it.
No, you know what, when I see connections, it drives me crazy when they're not connected, and that's the potential, I see the potential thing. And I just know that the energy, that the talent you have here is a lot, but you can only do so much. And so that's how we need to connect, because we're all going to the same thing.
Public comment. Charlie, anything?
No. I do. We do appreciate
Sandra, were you always this busy when you work for a living too?
God, yes. You know what? I was trained early. My mother died at 11. There were 10 siblings and I was given the thing of this is your platter. It's a big one. Get going. So I'm just.
Anything else?
No. Aside from.
All right, thank
You're
you.
awesome, sure.
Chris, anything you missed?
No, so Cal Fire did hit Oval Ranch, I know that.
Okay.
It's been 24 hours cleaning up everything, so yeah, they're out and about.
Good for you.
12 hours each day, they hurt.
Good for them.
Do you-
Any
Do
council?
we know if those reports, Chris, do you know if the reports from CAL FIRE, I mean, because I'm out in Showcase and we haven't been here, but will we get a report from CAL FIRE?
So
or-
they usually leave you this
Evaluation?
little checklist thing, and it's a checklist
checklist?
saying for like.
Yeah, we didn't see anything like that.
Well, they should have left you something.
Then they weren't at your house.
They
They weren't at,
they would have left either on the gate or if they didn't get in the yard, they would have left it on the gate.
Yeah, because they have to leave something and it'll also say like no violations or something.
Right.
Or give you 3 chances.
Yeah. And you needed help? Is that what you were saying?
Only my 2-year-old get bigger.
it's. I think he's confused. We're getting close to 9 o'clock, so any other comments from the council? Sandy,
Sandy.
you're muted again, honey.
I've got a question concerning, when the county comes out and does the evaluations on Outingdale. Are they given a specific amount of time if there are things that need to be done and which to accomplish those tasks?
No.
I'm just,
Well, yes, they are going to provide them with a list. It's not, no, the county is.
Oh,
They're not, the goal of the,
County assessments.
and I'm trying to think of the ordinance.
No,
It's
defensible space ordinance.
A stick that they're trying to bring people along, via education, and as property owners are participating and making progress, the county's gonna work with them. If a property owner, chooses to ignore the message, there might be more on the enforcement side, but the goal of the program is really to work with property owners over time to get where they need to get.
so my thought was if it may be good to plan our spring green waste day after those evaluations have occurred and people need a place to, as quickly as possible, get things cleaned up and a place to take their green waste.
Yes, that is correct. And so the Outingdale inspections are going to occur in the April-May range now. It looks like it's the time frame has slipped based on something that I saw today. So last year we had our green waste day in June, early June. And I would consider that I would offer that we probably consider a similar time frame. This year. Ends in June. The last time we got this, it ended in May. This time it goes through June. Anything else for the good of the order?
I think June's a good idea because by that time you've really been trying to work on your property. You know,
Yeah,
And you know you can't burn for a while.
and you can't, and yeah,
Well, I want to thank everybody for your participation today. We will again be dark in December. But I look forward to all of your smiling, shining faces back here in January. And we will continue these topics because I think we need to start putting some efforts, some different efforts next year to kind of get outreach to our community through a variety of different
ways, and I'm open to further discussion on those, and I think we will talk about that in January. So with that, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. If I don't see or hear from each of you, I wish you and your families well. And with that, we will get back at this in January. Thank you very much.